Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world. Good morning. Good morning, of course. We get to you in the rest of the world via the magic of the internet. That magical thing that used to be called ARPANET, created by whom again? Created by you, created by we the people. Now controlled by the billionaires. But folks, remember, we are going to take it back. It is ours. It is time for us to do what is right. Without further ado, let's go to the geniuses in the studio, Senor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba. Good morning, my brothers. How are you doing this morning?
All right. Just one genius today.
Oh, no. What happened to our brother Howard? He's off trying to make $1.
Yes, he is. Got to do it someplace, I guess.
Got to do it someplace. But Howard, if you're listening to us, keep the hope. Keep the hope up. Anyway, Jack, what's going on, my dear brother?
All right. Mamdani victory sparks progressives to call for primary challenges to Democratic establishment. An advocate says the establishment has never been more weak than it is now and encouraged progressive candidates to run for their positions. You know, there comes a time when the old is replaced by the new. The old should not resist this. They should gracefully bow out and celebrate the change. Introducing some new blood to the Democratic establishment will revive the party, hopefully to stand up and challenge and hold accountable the lies, the people, and the misleading narratives coming from the Republican establishment.
I mean, that is so true. That is so true. And, you know, when you talk about the establishment being weak, Jack, we had Hakeem Jeffries. They asked Hakeem Jeffries what he thought about taking back war powers from the president, which the Congress seemed to have ceded to him. And his answer in a press conference was, I haven't read it yet. This is after Donald Trump went over to drop a whole lot of bombs in Iran. When we talk about a dysfunctional establishment, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Anyway, Jack, thank you, my brother. Let's go ahead and get busy. Today we have, as you know, this is Neil Aquino's day. It's Thursday, but Neil Aquino is off. Neil Aquino is out of town, taking care of some stuff. And we're honored today to have our good friend, a good friend of the show, a PDR Posse member, the one and only Ray Brackens. Ray, good morning. And how are you doing this morning, sir?
Good morning, Egberto, and to the PDR Posse, to the rest of the world, Houston, Texas, and everybody out there. I know y'all used to hearing me on the other line for the phone, but I'm up bright and early today with Egberto, my favorite hermano. So, yeah, I heard you, Jack, early this morning talk about the gerontocracy, basically. And it's time to be out with the old and in with the new. You know, it's time for people like me, millennials, to take control of this world that we've been actually, just living in right now. Maybe it's time for us to control the narrative.
Well, when you have the eagle or the birds in the nest, eventually you have to throw the birds out of the nest, and they're the ones who take over. The interesting thing is, I mostly do activism with millennials and younger Gen Xs because those are the folks that are feeling a lot of what is occurring in our society right now. And I find it, I'm very often upset that we don't have more millennials in Congress, more Gen Xers in Congress. What we find is every few months, one of these people that don't realize it is time to go, they die. I mean, I love what the older folks have done. I mean, but let's just look at the last few months. Sylvester Turner died. He's the representative from District 18. And we had, I think, a couple more Democrats in Congress die, which harmed the populace at large because, again, they weren't there as a backstop to make these bills more difficult to pass. So, I mean, it is time. We had leadership positions came up, and instead of getting some fresh blood, they continue to elect. I'm talking about the establishment right now. Older Democrats. I have nothing against older Democrats. I'm an older Democrat, if you will. But there comes a time when you have to say, you know what? We've done our job. It is time for a new set to take over and with new ideas. And that is what the Mamdani victory is all about. People can think it's whatever. I want to bring this story in. After Mamdani's victory, progressives call for primary challenges to Democratic establishment. New York State Assemblyman Zoran Mamdani's victory over disgraced former Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York City's Democratic mayoral primary was quickly dismissed by some commentators as one that likely wouldn't be replicated in federal elections. And that said little about the views of Democratic voters at large. But the news that Cuomo had conceded on Tuesday night left many progressives eager to continue the momentum started by Mamdani's campaign. One characterized by a laser-sharp focus on making life more affordable for working people, a rejection of the outsized influence of billionaires and corporations on elections, and a demand for the Democratic Party to end its insistence that popular economic justice proposals are impossible to achieve in the United States. Instead of viewing Mamdani's victory as an aberration, said journalists and organizers Daniel Denver, the left should treat it as what, Ray? As an earthquake that threatens the entire Democratic establishment and its prioritizing of wealthy donors over the needs of the ordinary voters. Voters want to hear that if I elect you, my life is going to change, not that the Democrat or that the Republicans are stopping me from changing your lives. You have to go out there and they have to see you fighting. Believe it or not. Go ahead, Ray.
Well, I feel like, it speaks to the larger narrative that, young people don't know how to govern, and what I feel like Donald Trump has done, he's basically opened up, what used to be, an exclusive club in politics. And one of the things about politics, if I could speak to what you said a moment ago, that, there wasn't enough young people, I think quite simply, it wasn't enough young people in politics because the infrastructure that you have to build in order to be electable in this society, when it comes to money and when it comes to, placement in your local districts, you have to beat back, the politics within the party just to be recognized as a viable candidate, so it just so happens that Mamdani had that experience being, what was his role in New Jersey again?
He was an assemblyman in New York. Yeah, in New York, yes.
So, yeah, he had municipal experience, so he had a name. One of the things, and I want to bring it back to a movie. I love movie references. Like that movie by Eddie Murphy, The Distinguished Gentleman.
Right.
He ran off of his name. He just changed his name slightly a bit. It matched the same name as a dead candidate. And he said, vote for me. I'm the name you know. And name recognition is half of the battle. So, if we could get past the name recognition within our communities and feel like we actually have something we can stand up on, financially, as far as infrastructure and resources, yeah, I think you would see more of us. But Mamdani's shown that we are electable. But
yeah, and not only that you're electable, that you're competent. I mean, if Mamdani went in February, he was polling at 1% in February. With all the candidates, he was polling at 1%. He ended up winning in 10 people running or somewhere in that vicinity, and he won 43% of the vote. He could, maybe if it went another 2 weeks, he may have crossed 50%, whereas we would not have even need to go through the ranked choice voting methodology, even though he's likely to win that. But again, continuing with the article, the left everywhere must dedicate itself to an insurgency against Democratic incumbent, says Denver. The Democratic establishment has lost credibility with its base in the face of a fascist threat. The base is looking leftward for a new leadership. We are the opposition party, according to Denver. Several progressives observers urged potential primary challengers to look to other upcoming races in New York, with several expressing hope that New York City's comptroller, Brad Lander, another mayoral candidate who was widely praised for boosting Mamdani's campaign by cross-endorsing him, will continue his political career by fighting for a U.S. Senate or House seat. New York Democratic centrists, including U.S. Rep. Dan Goldman and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, were named as lawmakers Landers could challenge in a primary. Goldman is up for re-election in 2026, and Schumer could face a primary in 2028. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat of New York, who has angered progressives, very much so and deservedly so, angered progressives advocates during President Donald Trump's second term by complaining about their demands for the Democrats to act as an opposition party. And Representative Richie Torres needs to go. He is one of those New Yorkers that must go. A vehement supporter of Israel who attacked Mamdani and accused him of anti-Semitism when he spoke out in support of Palestinian rights, were also mentioned as incumbents who should be challenged. Again, if you're not working for the people, you should be challenged. Let's go ahead and bring Johnny into the conversation. Good morning, Johnny. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Yeah, you and Magic Jack are trying to trip me up. It's a theoretical good morning. You're not going to make me forget. Everything's theoretical. By the way, I learned something interesting yesterday about our so-called socialist candidate for New York mayor. Something very pleasant.
Yes. What was that?
Let me ask you something. What do you think is the next best thing to socializing our mineral resources, like oil? What's the next best thing to that, would you say?
I don't know. Tell me.
How about a chain of publicly, not privately, for-profit owned grocery stores?
Okay, that. I didn't want to bring that up because, go ahead, continue.
And before I discovered that, prior to learning that yesterday, I saw a clip from MSNBC Financial, or whatever they call that show. It's a financial version on MSNBC, where these two idiots, the guy with the bald head who looks like the communist leader from Russia back in the day, and his friend, they were so smug, and they were saying, oh, yeah, and he wants everyone to eat for free. And I thought, he wants everyone to eat for free. What the hell are these two idiots talking about? And then I learned later on about the candidate wanting to establish publicly owned grocery stores. See, so that's how these centrists, these go along to get along, these corporate drones respond. And by the way, Marjorie Taylor Taylor, she thought she was so funny and so clever in circulating a picture of the Statue of Liberty covered from head to toe in a solid black burqa. And so I called her Washington office, and I told her so, and I says, "Oh, you must have forgotten when Lady Liberty jumped off our pedestal and started flooding water back when Donald got into the White House the first time around. And then when he got reelected, he had his thugs go after her and bring her back to the pedestal and start beating her up while one of them was peeking under her dress." See, now
it's crazy. Hey, hold on. You brought up a subject that I think is important, and Ray, I want you to listen to this as well, because this you opened the door for me to discuss a couple of things here. But before I do that, I want to salute our chat folks, which we have Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. Buenos dias, Lisa. How you doing? Margaret Ryan says here from Oak Ridge, traveling back to Spokane, Washington, that is. We also have Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome, Paul. And Egghold. Egghold has a whole list of stuff that he has in the chat, but Egghold, I'm going to hold back on that a while. You're kind of a bad guy, Egghold. Come on, we want everybody to have their health insurance. I get the pun. I get your pun. We'll talk about that later. And of course, in this Substack chat, we have Steve Quick, Lori Kake, Christopher A. Johnson, Cheryl Elkin says the opposition party, it's more than a moniker. It's an attitude, a walk the talk. Exactly, sister. Walk the talk. And there is CJR, Donna Shaber, Matthew Ward, and of course, I missed the beginning of all the folks here. But Magic Jack, here's what I want to tell you. First of all, Mamdani is a democratic socialist. That's what he is. A democratic socialist is really a true Democrat. And let me explain. It is somebody who believes in free enterprise, and it is someone who believes that the portions of the government that should be, the portion of the society that should be run from the government, which is non-exploitative, should do so. Healthcare and in other areas. And let's give an example here. Everybody is going to jump about him wanting to have public grocery stores. They're going to call that socialist. You want to take over all the grocery stores. Mamdani is not looking to get rid of HEB or Walmart or all these other things. That's not the thing. Let's talk about what occurs in food deserts. In food deserts, you have places where the poor can't get affordable produce, affordable food, because guess what? The corporatocracy doesn't feel they can make enough money in those areas. Does that mean that because the corporatocracy, which is inherently an autocracy, because they decide that they can't make enough money in a particular locale, in let's say poor neighborhoods, that those people should live on crap, that they should live on all the reject foods, that they should live on all the canned goods and not have fresh produce? What the man is saying is, we believe in true democracy. We believe in equality. What we mean is, if there is a food desert, if there's a place that isn't in Panama, we'll call alimentando la gente, that where the people are not getting fed appropriately, let's make sure that we, the people, ensure that those people have where to buy food that is good, that is affordable. And like I mentioned in a program yesterday, when it comes to the grocery stores, a lot of these bodegas and these other places, they can't afford to buy the produce and bananas and all these things and sell it at an affordable price because they don't have the scale to do that, right? They don't have the economy of scale to do that. Well, what if the government, who has the economy of scale, buy a truckload of lettuce and have the different bodegas sell it at the same cost that it would be at a Walmart? And suddenly, the government can do what the corporate sector is unable or unwilling to do. You get the point for that one, Johnny?
Yeah, and I don't mind you call me Magic Jack. I think that's an honorific. Thank you very much. But I'm still stuck on I am still stuck on this idea of how Marjorie Taylor Taylor posting that picture of the Statue of Liberty dressed head to toe in a solid black burqa. I consider her to be a kissing cousin to those two financial geniuses, those idiots on the MSNBC financial channel. They're opposite sides of the same coin. They have more in common with each other than they want their respective voters or viewers to realize, and they are despicable people.
Let me tell you what I've started doing, Jenny. I'll ask Ray to chime in on this. First of all, chime in on the burqa, Ray.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
sounds like.
Hold on, Johnny. I still want to talk to you on something else, Johnny. But go ahead, Ray.
They love to play into the anti-Muslim rhetoric, and it's just this whole. It's tired, I mean, they've been playing this ever since 2000, 2001. After 9/11, they do the whole, anti-Muslim thing, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's childish. That's what I say. She's childish because I saw her at the she was at the session and she was banging her gavel saying that, she has the gavel so she can say what she wants. She can say, and the lady was saying it's not your time. So,
I mean, the good thing about this, Brother Ray, is that Johnny brought that up. I would not have brought it up at all because I don't want to give them undeserved airtime, right? So I got you with the burqa and all of that. We know that they're prejudiced people, racist people. Who cares? Who cares about that? But here's the thing, Johnny. I want to start. I wrote a note. I sent out an email last night about the discussion between Andrea Mitchell and Anan Hidadas, because Andrea Mitchell herself was trying to impose the fear of democratic socialists on the MSNBC listeners, on the NBC listeners, etc. And what she was told, she was immediately told by Anan Hidadas, which also is a millennial. I think he's a millennial or a young Gen X, so I think he's a millennial. He said, Andrea, that is so 20th century thinking. You go ahead and ask any millennial about their jobs, etc. They realize that they've been had. The rest of America is the one that needs to realize that the corporatocracy have had them. Now, I want to give another example about cable and rural areas. Biden and many of these folks passed policies to give high-speed internet around the country. And because the corporatocracy has not seen it fit to go ahead and put high-speed internet in Timbuktu. And the truth of the matter is rural areas benefit a lot more from having high-speed internet, given their distance from, from many urban areas that they need. So they would benefit from that. And again, the big word came out. That is socialism. No, that is your government doing its job, fulfilling a need that the private sector was unable or unwilling to do. The private sector wants those areas, those rural areas, to wait until they see fit to put these high-speed networks in, to which the Biden government then said, well, no. But again, the problem with Democrats is execution. Why, as soon as the bill passed, wasn't all of that stuff provided? Johnny, got to go to some more calls. We're filling up. What else you got? Real quick.
One last thing on that note about execution. You are correct. An example, and I'll go back to this burqa thing. How come on our side we don't post something that's really humorous and based in truth? Like I just said, Lady Liberty finding out that Donald Trump won back the first time, and she jumps off her pedestal and she starts treading water, running from America.
All right, Johnny, I got it. Johnny, I got it. I got to let you go. You got a whole bunch of time, brother, but I love that one. The Statue of Liberty jumping off the pedestal and running. Yeah, that's a good one. You got to patent that one. We'll talk later, brother. Wait. Bye-bye, Johnny. We'll talk later.
Yes, Mr. Johnny. You might want to ask the AI to generate that video. It might come up with something interesting.
It's funny, isn't it? That was a funny one. As soon as Donald Trump get elected, Lady Liberty jumps off the pedestal and start swimming back to France, Let's go to Donald. Donald, come on in, my dear brother Donald.
Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Egberto. I got to reteach you how to speak again.
Good morning,
are you ready?
Donald.
Yeah, teach me, brother. Teach me.
Going back to racism and burqas and all that. It's not. It's not socialism. It's called doing right in the do right moment. That's what the man is trying to do. And what I was explaining about a bubble is you need to do this under a bubble. You go in, set the programs up, and what you're doing right now, explaining about the food desert, you got to explain what a food desert is. These people don't understand. Our corporations sell us garbage. And the best thing, it's like your example of a cup of coffee. Your example of the cup of coffee is right. But what do we do to a cup of coffee? We poured sugar and caramel and made an upside down macchiato kids temp El Grande and made it all fancy where it's, I don't know, 1,000 calories. And these people eat them up, then they get obese, then they get on medicine, then they get medicine to get off so they can get skinny again. But this guy is doing right in a do right moment. It doesn't matter what his background is. He is an American. Let's see what he can do. Let's put him out there and let's support him. Because it doesn't matter, because what happens is anytime you are doing good, there's somebody that's lazy and doesn't want to work that's going to manipulate you to get the money so that the HEB doesn't lose and the Walmart doesn't lose money, but you can buy in bulk and then you can redistribute it in the community. We have schools. Schools can stay after hours. They have kitchens. They have all this other stuff. They have programs. You can do after school food programs where the people come in and eat dinner and somebody helps study, because you have teachers that are retired. You have people that are authors. You have people that are educators. They could actually come in and do a tutoring system, and you could build your community from the inside. Harlem, all these other places in the world could be great places because you get the people that want to learn and educate and thrive, and they're helping the young ones and teaching them to do right in the do right moments. You got to stand up or you're going to fall. But y'all are doing good and keep up the good work.
Hey, Donald, I'm glad that you said that, right? Because it turns out I wrote an article just last night, and the title was "The Mainstream Media's Distortion of New York's Mayor Race Makes Clear Independent Media is Essential." And thank you for saying that. You have to explain.
Oh,
it's not enough
one
to
other
just say,
thing.
Go ahead.
They keep trying to bring out the same damn ventriloquist dummies. We tired of them. Get a new prop, because the mouthpieces they've been trying to play just ain't cutting it no more.
Hey, you know what? I'm glad you said that, because that is exactly right. And I think if you listen to Andrea Mitchell and Hidad yesterday, you'd see exactly that. He said that is so 20th century, and you could see the change in her face when he said that is so 20th century, the way she talks about who this guy was. It was excellent. But, I said I'm looking for what I said. I said, my goal is, one of the sentences I put in there is, my goal is to point out that as the midterms get closer, the mainstream media will be playing the same game of disparaging progressives at the expense of the needs of the working class and the middle class. Our independent media channels will have to refine their narrative and make the necessary adjustments to promote the real message more broadly. And many of us are doing just that. So that's what I wrote. That's what I sent to my newsletter list last night. Actually, it was probably midnight that I sent that out. And I think you essentially said just that. We have to be out there explaining to the people why. And why. Thank you very much, Donald, as usual.
One more thing. Look, you got to think outside the box, because the only box they're going to put you in is either your ashes in a little box or a pine box. Other than that, you got to think outside the box. Later.
Thank you, brother. Ray,
have a good one, Donald. I appreciate your thoughts.
Give me your comments, Ray, before we go to Bard. Did you got that? Give me your comments before we go to Bard, Ray.
No, Donald was making a lot of sense. And I mean, basically, we need to stop, letting people scare us with the language from the old days, socialism and all of that stuff. Look, people want resources and they want their taxes to go to stuff that actually benefits their life. And one thing I'm going to say before you go to Bard, it's really upstate that they have an open mind about the type of political ideologies they're willing to accept. And also that ranked choice voting thing, it gives people a chance to want to, spread their vote out. So it's like, hey, you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket if you want to give the other guy a chance. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So welcome aboard, Gayla Kunis. And Cheryl says, yes, speak the truth. Oh, wow. The other chat is filled up. I'll get to some of that in a minute. But let's go to Brother Bard. Bard, come on in.
Good morning. Yes, I am so happy that this guy is going to be the mayor of New York. I can't wait to see what a Muslim socialist can do there. And I can't wait to see these socialist grocery stores. I really think it's going to help out the Democrat Party in 2028. I think a little opposite than a lot of people. Like the trans in the Olympics. I cheer for all of them to get all the gold medals. I want them to beat all the women. Because women won't stand up and say no. They'll say, "Oh, it's okay." There's only one woman I know that's talking against trans athletes, and the rest of them are like, "It's okay with it." So, as long as these trannies win all the gold medals, then we can do away with all the women's sports because it'll be all men competing.
Bard. Let me ask you something, my brother. Let me ask you something. What gives you pleasure in life?
What gives me pleasure in life?
In life, yeah. What do you like? What is something that you want to offer that, every time you call this program, and notice I give you your eartime because I believe we are true Democrats here. Wait, hold on. We are true Democrats here. We believe, even as you many times come and misuse the airtime, I always, if I see your name, doesn't give me a reason not to call you. I'm trying to promote that we do and we speak to everybody. But tell me, what would you offer to make things better for society?
I'm not misusing the airtime. I am agreeing with you today.
I asked you a question.
I don't know why you won't agree with me. Why won't you agree with me?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, what do you have to offer? What would you like us to change to make society better for everybody?
I think that each person has his own personal responsibility. America first, Texas first.
Again, I don't want a slogan. What does Bard have to offer to society? And let me give an example. Ray is our guest host today. Last week, Ray was at City Council trying to hear things and make things better for Houstonians with respect to rents, etc. He's also doing some work with encouraging people to vote. We have Neil Aquino that's out there in the field trying to engage folks and encourage folks to really be a part of their civic society. We have many others doing things like that. What are you offering? You always talk about something that is wrong. What can Brother Bard say to society? This is what I'm going to do to make your life better.
I can offer some insight and help to Ray. I hope that the city will stop wasting taxpayer dollars. Ray, can you look into the
Okay, so in other words, you are unable to say something forward to help. Thank you very much, Bard. As usual. And Ray, what you find is that these are what you call the mouthpieces for the right. They have no concept, no critical thinking. All they can do is parrot a hate that they're told to parrot because they've been told that somebody is taking something away from them. So they'll, by all means necessary, just go out there and talk. Your thoughts before I go to Bruce.
Yeah, Bart, I always wondered if that's your real name because every time I hear that, I think about the law, beyond a reasonable doubt. That was the acronym we use, BARD. But anyway, yeah, you just are somewhat of a troll and a contrarian, and you are entitled to your First Amendment right, and that's your opinion. But Egberto, I'd say it like this: yeah, people like that, I couldn't have a space for them in my personal world. But here they do have a place, and they do have a right, and I wouldn't get in front of anybody's rights. But you also have a right to be wrong as well.
Amen. All right. Look, I want to welcome Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia. How you doing, Paul? Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Welcome aboard. Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. Good conversation that you guys are having in there. Billy Irwin from Summerwood. Thank you guys for all being here and listening. And of course, the myriad of folks that we have in the Substack chat. Let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce. And yes, I can hear you, Bruce.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Yeah, I got two quick political cartoons I want somebody to draw up. First one would be Marjorie Taylor Greene visiting a plastic surgeon, and the plastic surgeon saying, "There's nothing I can do about your face, but I'm going to write you a prescription for a burqa." The second political cartoon would be the Statue of Liberty facing the incoming immigrants, holding up a middle finger instead of a torch. I'm done.
Thank you very much, Bruce. You performed, Bruce. You performed well. Thank you, my brother. Let's go to Tag. Tag in Michigan. My brother Tag in Michigan. How you doing this morning, sir?
Great. Thank you, Egberto. I got kind of stuck on a loop this morning thinking about how the conservatives they have these ideals, and I think a lot of us support the conservative ideals, like not having abortions. What a great idea! Like bringing the deficit down. That's a great idea. I think we support a lot of the right wing initiatives. The only thing is that the people who make these decisions in Washington do not work at getting these things done. And when they do get them done, they're not done in a way that helps anybody. Since Roe versus Wade was overturned, abortions are way up. They've got another big, beautiful bill that's going to add more to the deficit. The conservative politicians are not doing what they espouse to be doing. And I think it's a real big problem that we have. And then we have people like Bart that comes out and says, oh, well, this is what we have to do. They're supporting people that are not doing what they say they should do. So what do you think about that, guys?
I think you nailed it. You nailed it. I want less abortions. Nobody wants women to put their bodies through that. But if you want less abortions, you have more support for women. You make sure that women who have hooked up with bad guys and leave them alone, that they don't feel the stresses of having to do it all alone. You want to have programs. Look, there is so much that can be done without saying I'm banning abortion to reduce abortion. And you know who proved that? Progressive policies have proved that. Under progressive, abortions go down because people feel that they're supported. But when you have go ahead.
No, one big issue right now they have are these trannies in sports. None of us want trannies in sports. Do you want trannies in sports, Egberto?
No, the thing about it is what we want is fairness. Okay, let me be, and I'm going to be very honest on the issue. Testosterone makes men in the aggregate. Notice what I'm saying. In the aggregate, make men stronger than women. In the aggregate, that's a hormonal thing. Okay. Now, if that is mitigated and leveled, a woman is a woman is a woman. In other words, if those whatever levels are brought to bring equity, then that's what we should have. I'm kind of bumbling in that I'm not expressing this as I should because you caught me off guard. But the reality,
Egberto.
Sure, please do.
So what you're referring to is basically another stigma, as if, look, you could go right here on YouTube and look up intergender wrestling matches. Okay. They act like there isn't a dynamic where a male and a female have competed at some point. Now, if this person is a male to female transgender person, obviously, at some point, they have to go through an evaluation to even know if they're able to make the team. Now, when these coaches and these teachers bring these students into these sports, they should be able to know if this person is either going to be competitive above the standard or if they're actually going to find themselves in the standard. And what you said, to Egberto's point, in the aggregate, yes, men are stronger, but there's always exceptions. And of course, if you take these hormones to break down your body, I guarantee you, it's going to come down to your skill set to decide if you're going to be an elite athlete or not.
Yeah, and again, and I don't want, before you come in, Tag, I don't want to go into areas that I don't know. But there's one thing that I do know, that when you're looking for fairness around the board, you should do exactly that. And again, if trans in sports is unfair, then it doesn't like you mentioned before, things should be evaluated. I don't want anybody to have any unfair advantage, etc. I want equity, or rather, I want equal access to success. I don't like to use equity all of the times. Equal access to success. Anything else, Tag, before we move on? And folks, I changed as Sweat said, and I hope the echo has gone for Ray on the internet. Let me know if I succeeded. Anything else, Tag, real quick?
Yeah. I kind of switched up the topic there with the trans. I think the whole my whole point is that none of us really want people to feel like they have to be trans, right? We'd like to get rid of trans, and we'd like to get rid of the deficit. We'd like to get rid of abortion. But the right wingers are not doing any of that. That's my point. They just aren't doing it. And the people that support right wingers are not doing anything to get rid of these problems. They're just making them worse.
The right wing is simply a force for the corporatocracy, Tag, and it has always been that way. And by the way, the right wing has not always been a Republican thing. There was a time Republicans were the progressives. There was a time when Republicans were the ones that believed in civil rights. There's a time when the Democrats were the ones who were the racists. I'm talking about the Southern Democrats were the big racists, the supporters of Jim Crow and all that sort of stuff. So it's amazing how things revolve. But thank you so kindly for calling in, Tag, and you have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, let's go to Sister Betty. Come on in, Betty.
Okay. Hi. Mark, he needs a hot chick in a bad way. And Democrats has been doing the honeybee, just moving back and forth. The King protest and what's happening in New York, Mamdani, we're coming out of our nest. We see them now. And on socialism, my nephew said to me, you and my uncle worked your bottom off for 23 years and you want to give it away? And I said, my giveaway. Love y'all.
Love you too, Betty. Love you too. Look, the idea is to make you scared of that word socialism. That's why the thing about it is, if you take a look at corporations right now, the people that love socialism and a bad socialism, that said, are corporations. There's something that people don't understand, and I'm going to make it quite clear here. Corporations don't take risks. And on every panel that I've appeared on, when people say, like, the first thing these folks would ask is, how will that affect business instead of how would it affect humanity? Well, let me tell you some truths that they don't tell you about our tax system, right? Corporations, even when they make bad choices and lose money, they don't. Why? Because if I lose money this year as a corporation, I lose money this year. The next year, I make a lot of money. Guess what I do? The money that I lost on year number 1, I write off of my taxes on year number 2. The only people that suffer in our tax system whose losses are really losses are you, the regular American citizen. The laws have not been written for you. When we talk about social contracts, that is what we want to do. Ensure that You are that just like a corporation can take advantage of their losses, that you can as well. It wouldn't be losses in that regards. But remember that when they tell you they lose a lot of money making drugs, so that's why their drug prices have to be high. It's a lie, because the money that they lost on drug A will be recovered from the taxes they don't pay on a very successful drug B. They never lose money. Understand that. Let's go to Jeff. Come on in, Jeff. Oh, go ahead, Ray.
Egberto, how are you?
Jeff,
Yeah.
hold on. Hold on, Jeff. Ray wanted to add to that real quick. Ray.
Yeah, real quick. It's basically like a golf term. You know, rich people in socialism, they get a mulligan. They get to start over without
There you go.
without any repercussions.
There you go. I mean, exactly. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Well, you know, I've been listening. We've been jumping around subjects all morning, and I agree with some of them. I disagree with a lot of them. But, you know, when Bard came on, you know, I think that, you know, he's contributing to society, and he's, you know, paying his taxes and probably raising good kids, and I'll leave it at that. And, you know, I don't want to say something about when you said something about the Republican and Democratic Party, that the Democrats were the racists at one time and the Republicans were the humanitarians, I guess.
Progressive.
You want to put it. Yeah, progressives, which, you know, I don't like that word, but that's okay. You know, and I think they still are. They and we are, because, you know, we promote, you know, building yourself up instead of relying on government. Like Ronald Reagan said, when you hear I'm from the government here to help, no, geez, I run then, because government's not here they're not supposed to, you know, they're here to help people, but, you know, that people got to, you know, they got to have you know, build themselves up instead of relying on the government. Government is there to maintain, you know, roads and make life a little easier on, you know, infrastructure. And people just got to, you know, get up and take care of themselves. I got to go to work in a second, so I don't have long. And, you know, and you've got these people calling in like Johnny. Johnny calls in, he trolls all day long on there, you know. And, he has nothing better to do than sit on the internet, and that's all I've got to say today. Thank you.
Okay, well, let me, Ray. I mean, Jeff. Let me. I know you got to go to work, but give me 2 minutes here. Who is government?
It's the people's government, of course, but.
Okay,
know,
so wait, hold on a second.
You know,
let me reply to you, because I made you speak. Let me ask the questions and give me short answers. I know you got to go to work. Government is we the people. Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now, and if it's we the people, we decide if government is going to be good or bad, correct?
Yeah, and I believe in
okay, yes or no? That's all I need from you, brother. Okay. Yes or no? And we determine what we want government to do for us, since we are the ones who pay for government, correct?
Correct, but the majority of the people.
All right. Now, when you talk about lifting yourself up, you ever heard the term redlining?
No, explain it to me. Just give me a quick synopsis.
That's fine. Redlining is where the private sector decided certain parts of our society were not due loans. Couldn't get loans. If you live in this area, which is generally minority communities, etc., loans weren't afforded there. So homes in those areas, their prices were depressed. While in other areas, specifically white areas, they were not, which means white folks who had homes and who appreciated their wealth could grow, while the wealth of folks that were redlined couldn't grow. And we needed to mitigate. The private sector did that. We needed to find a way to mitigate that, to solve that problem. You agree that that's a good thing for government to do, correct?
You know, I'm not going to give you an answer on that, because I've got to think about that one. And I don't.
Right, and that's fine. So what I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and think about that and read about that, because my contention is Republicans speak a good game about government is bad and lifting yourself up by the bootstrap. But when you have a boat anchor on your boots, you can't lift yourself up at all. And I think what I'm asking you to do, anytime you feel, lift yourself up by the bootstrap, realize that most of the wealthy has never lifted themselves up by the bootstrap, and realize that all of us are out there. When you're going to work right now. When you go on that street, you're going to see the vast majority of Houstonians at a bus stop or driving to work at a menial job, getting paid a little bit of money to enrich somebody who's making a lot of the labor, what you call your excess labor. I just want you to think about those things. And then, let's talk another day, because what happens is it's easy to say.
Have you think of two things real quick next time I talk to you?
Yes.
Okay,
yes, sir.
I've been out in the workforce for a long time, and when income tax comes around, I have to pay a little bit because I've got investments because I thought ahead. But everybody else is getting money back. Just think about that. And so you talk about
right. That's fine. I remember that they're getting money back. That you're smart in that you don't give the government your money up front. A lot of people give the government money up front. The government makes a profit on that money and then give them back at April 15th.
I have to pay.
So no, you're doing the right thing. I mean, you're doing the right thing, Jeff. But Jeff, you got to go to work. Let's talk later. Let me go to Jimmy, okay?
All right.
Take care, brother. Peace. All right, Jimmy, come on in, my dear brother.
Well, first of all, Egberto, I want to comment on your show. I want to commend you for having Elizabeth Warren on the other day. She has the facts and the figures. We can learn a lot from her. I'm really glad you brought her on. And a negative thing about your show, I don't think you should waste time reading the names of all these people on chat. 100% of the time should be used to discuss issues, not read off names. And about current news, in Gaza, people over there are starving. They're lining up for food. And virtually every day I read about Israeli soldiers shooting at these people. They shot and killed 44 people the other day who were lining up for food because they're starving. How cruel and sadistic is that?
Yeah, it's terrible, Jimmy. Jimmy, that's terrible. Thank you for the kudos on having Elizabeth Warren on, etc. And let me just say that as far as naming folks that in the show, this is a community, and I want everybody to feel a part of the community. I had one of the things that Tom Hartman gave me kudos for a few weeks ago is to say, everybody who calls in is inclusive. I don't get to call everybody's name, but I want to periodically call people out because I want folks to feel that this is a home, just like you feel this is your home when you call in and bring points out, Jimmy. So I know it may take a good maybe 5% of our time, but I think all of you deserve, whatever time to let people know that I really acknowledge, accept, and I thank folks for being here, both listening on the radio and listening in the chat. So I love to do that. And I maybe control a little bit of time there, but I want folks to know this is a family, just like you are the family, one of our KPFT family. All right, brother?
Well, one more thing. The best thing for America is more education. We have free education now through the 12th grade. Let's add 4 more years of college of free education. That would raise our education.
That's true.
That would be
but I want to say there's another thing I want people to do. I want people to learn how to live like you. My brother, guys that I'm talking to, is 90-something years and he can still jog. He eats right and keep his body in shape. Jimmy, we talk another time. All right.
Thank you.
Have a good one, brother.
Like
Let's go.
Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's go to Curtis. Curtis, come on in real quick.
Hey, yes, hello.
Yes, sir. You're here.
Okay, yeah. Good morning, Egberto. I've called here a few times. So first, I want to say this. I blame the Democrats for running a horrible presidential debate, race, everything. I think we spoke before. I am a Republican. But I can say, and I've been calling all my Democrat buddies, that I do apologize. I was wrong this presidential race. I did vote for the wrong person. No, let me take that back. I voted for a cabinet that I thought would do better, and they did not. That's what I'm wrong about. I felt that my vote was correct when I voted. Now that I see, I'm a fair person. that I was definitely wrong. This is not the cabinet or the people that I voted for. At least I thought I was voting for, and I can say that I'm wrong because I'm a grown man.
Curtis. I just want to tell you that, first of all, I've spoken to you before. I remember you, and I always said that I thank you for being a Republican and calling in and say the things that you say, both positive and negative. And it takes a man to be able to do what you just did there, brother. That's all I'm going to say. So anything else real quick?
I want to say, I'm listening to you guys debate just real quick. I do want to say that, the opposite of socialism is capitalism. And we got to remember that even Democrats want capitalism. Socialism do sound great on top. But if it was a fair capitalism that we actually live in most countries, capitalism works perfectly. It works great. Now I got to go, but I want to talk to you. I want you to call and have an extensive conversation, maybe a 4-minute conversation or 5-minute conversation where we can go over, I believe in free enterprise. It's a blend of capitalism and socialism where each of them have their strong points. Let's talk about that another time. Is that okay? Sure. All right. You guys have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Peace. All right, Brian, close the show out for me.
Yeah. I am like a lot of other people who listen to your program. We want to know exactly which side of the government are you on? Do you prefer living in Iran? You had Elizabeth Warren on. She is a liar. You called the president a liar. What? Hey, Iran needs a bunch of engineers. Why don't you just move to Iran if you love it so much? Move away, man. If you don't like capitalism, move away. That's all. That's all there is. Is it just that simple that you can't comprehend that? You think I'm angry?
I guess.
Yeah, I'm angry.
All right. Thank you very much for calling, Brian. I thank you for calling. I think if you want to, you can move away. But I'm staying here and I'm making sure this country works for everybody, not just for a few while a gullible sustains it. All right, let me go to Jack. Jack, anything else you want to say real fast, my brother?
Yes, I say that government is supposed to protect the people from the corporate.
Thank you very much. And you nailed it right there, brother. Ray, give me a quick closer.
Yeah, for Brother Brian, you always saying, if you got a problem with this country, why don't you move away? No, how about we get the policies we want, and you take your privilege and you move away.
There you go. All right, folks. Look, thank you all. Love you all. Every single one of you. Okay. politicsandright.com/newsletter is where the rest of the program is. You can write me directly at kpft@politicsandright.com, kpft@politicsandright.com. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics and Right, comes from politicsandright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.